At the Crease with Kyron Powell. Cricket fans in Sri Lanka, in the Caribbean and all over the world. This is At the Crease with West Indies international cricketer Kyron Powell. Sri Lanka extended their dominance over West Indies in Test match cricket after registering a brilliant 187-run win over the visitors in the first of the second Test played at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. West Indies up until this point of time touring Sri Lanka from 1993 and have played 12 matches, out of which Sri Lanka have emerged victorious in 8 of the matches, while 4 of the matches ended without a result. As usual, I've got 2 very special guests on our show today, West Indies international cricketer Kyron Powell and of course our very own Vindana Prasad Karunaratne from the Newsfirst team. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for showing up today. Kyron, yesterday when we discussed about the show's day's proceedings, we discussed about the match is going to be over by the lunchtime, but commendable resistance from Nkrumah Bonner and Joshua De Silva.
As I mentioned yesterday, Nkrumah Bonner and Joshua De Silva are 2 proper batters, and they're guys that bat extended periods of time. So I knew that the West Indies had some chance of putting up a resistance. And this is something that West Indies will take great pleasure in going into the second match, knowing that they had 2 batters able to keep the Sri Lankans at bay from since the end of the 4th day leading into after lunch on the 5th day. That will give confidence to the rest of the players within the squad that, hey, look, these guys did it on day 5, the most difficult day to bat, and survived, and Nkrumah Bonner survived in excess of 200 balls. So that means that guys can get in and spend long periods of time at the wicket, and that will lead to the other batters now having a boost, going into the nets, getting re-energized, getting refreshed, knowing, okay, this is the plan going forward. So they'll be able to put up a better challenge to Sri Lanka in the second Test match.
විදන අපි හිතුවා ඊයේ දිනේදී කාලගුණික තත්ත්වය බලපායි කියලා අද තරගයට. හැබැයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායමට ජයග්‍රහණයක් අත්කර දුන්නා. පන්දේවන්න අද දිනේ.
ඔව් විශේෂයෙන්ම සඳහන් කරන්න ඕනේ කාරණාව තමයි මාටින් ඊයේ රාත්‍රියේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් මේ ක්‍රීඩාංගණය භාරව සිටින නිලධාරීන් දැඩි වෙහෙසක් දරලා තිබෙනවා මේ වතුර ඉවත් කිරීමේ කාර්යය සඳහා. මොකද තනතිරු ආවරණ මත සෑහෙන විශාල වතුර ප්‍රමාණයක් රැඳී තිබිලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ කණ්ඩායම් ඉතාමත්ම උදෑසන මේ වතුර ඉවත් කිරීමේ කාර්යයන් සිදු කළා. ක්‍රීඩාංගණය නියමිත මට්ටමට ගෙනෙන්නට උදෑසන පටන් අලියම් කාලයේ පටන්ම දැඩි වෙහෙසක් අරගෙන තිබෙනවා. එහි ප්‍රතිඵලයක් හැටියට තමයි අද දවසේදී මෙතරම් ඉක්මනට තරගය පටන් ගන්නට සහ අනිකුත් කාර්යයන් සිදු කරන්නට අවස්ථාව ලැබුණේ. මම හිතන්නේ එහි ප්‍රතිඵලය ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් කණ්ඩායම ටෙස්ට් ක්‍රිකට් ලෝක ශූරතාවලියට යන ගමනේ දැන් ඉන්නේ අපි අංක 1 රැන්කින් වල. ඉන්දියාව දෙවන ස්ථානයට ඇද දමමින් මේ ජයග්‍රහණයත් එක්ක අපි සමත් වෙනවා ලෝක ටෙස්ට් ශ්‍රේණිගත කිරීම වල අංක 1 ස්ථානයට එන්න.
தமிழ் நேர்களுக்கு இலங்கை மற்றும் மேற்கிந்திய தீவுகள் மற்றும் இலங்கை அணிக்கு இடையிலான முதலாவது டெஸ்ட் போட்டியில் இலங்கை அணி 187 ஓட்டங்களால் அபார வெற்றி பெற்றது. இலங்கை மற்றும் மேற்கிந்திய தீவுகள் அணிக்கு இடையில் 1993ஆம் ஆண்டு முதலாவது டெஸ்ட் போட்டி இடம்பெற்றது. 2021ஆம் ஆண்டு வரை இலங்கை மற்றும் மேற்கிந்திய தீவுகள் அணி 12 டெஸ்ட் போட்டிகளில் பங்கேற்றுள்ளன. அதில் 8 போட்டிகளில் இலங்கை வெற்றி பெற்றுள்ளது, 4 போட்டிகள் draw அடைந்துள்ளது. I had a discussion yesterday that the pitch will behave differently at the start of the play today, and did it play differently actually?
Martin, if you can pull the pitch report, I'll be able to explain better. At the start of day 1, obviously the pitch would have been pristine condition, turned over to the match officials, perfect for batting. You always want to get in on day 1, especially in the subcontinent. Those are the best times to bat, day 1, day 2, early on day 3. As the pitch starts to deteriorate and creating all that rough, now the right-handers would have had a big foothold created here from the bowlers following through onto the pitch. That would have led to the off-spinners coming into that rough. The left-handers as well would have had from the bowlers coming around the wicket. So that would create a massive foothold for the left-arm spinners coming into that rough. The West Indies managed to negate the Sri Lankan bowlers today very well. The 2 batters, Joshua De Silva and Nkrumah Bonner, batted beautifully. They batted from since the end of day 4 into day 5. They gave themselves a chance. They covered the line of the ball. They covered any potential spin by getting as close to the ball as possible, getting back when they needed to get back, but still staying low. So if the ball slides on, it doesn't catch them upright, beating the inside edge of the bat, getting them LBW. The West Indies will definitely look at those points. Sri Lanka will also look at those points going into the second match. Why is it that they were able to get 6 quick wickets on day 4, but then it took them 2.5 sessions to get the other 4 wickets of the lower order of the West Indies? So Sri Lanka will be thinking, okay, these are the things that worked for us earlier on. These are the things that we need to change going into the second test match, obviously being played at the same venue with the pitch only having 3 days for preparation going into the next test match. So both teams will be taking something from this test match. Obviously Sri Lanka will be in a higher position, having won the match by 187 runs, but both teams have things to think about.
I had another question also at the second day, third session, and also when we look at yesterday, third session. West Indies lost their top order during the last session of the game. Is it something to do with pressure, or is it something different?
I think the West Indian batters just got caught off guard because they were playing for the ball to turn, but the Sri Lankan team opened the bowling with 2 spinners using the new ball. The new ball is not going to spin as much. It's even though the pitch is very abrasive and it has lots of rough created over the 4 days, the ball wouldn't spin as much until it gets older and gets softer. So guys were playing on the inside, getting beaten on the outside. Left-hander was playing on the outside, getting beaten on the inside for the ball to turn. It didn't happen in the second innings because the Sri Lankans opened the bowling with 2 spinners and they were just going straight on.
සාරාංශයක් ඇතුළට වින්දන කාරයන් කියපු දේ අපේ සිංහල ප්‍රේක්ෂකයන්ට කිව්වොත් එහෙම.
ඔව් මම හිතන්නේ නව පන්දුවත් එක්ක දඟ පන්දු යවන්නන් දෙන්නෙක් පන්දු යවන්න පටන් ගත්තාම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ අර වේග පන්දු යවන්නෙක් පන්දුව යවලා ස්ලිප් ක්‍රීඩකයෙකුට උඩු පන්දුවක් ලබා ගන්නවා වගේ කඩුල්ලක් තබා ගැනීමේ උත්සාහයක් තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පවතින්නේ. පන්දු අර 90කට පස්සේ නව පන්දුවක් ටෙස්ට් ක්‍රිකට් තරගයකදී හම්බ වෙනවා ඕනම කණ්ඩායමකට. ඉතින් මේ තත්වය තමයි මම හිතන්නේ කයිරන් පැහැදිලි කරන්න උත්සාහ කරන්නේ. නමුත් අපේ දඟපන්දු යවන්නන් දෙන්න මේ නව පන්දුවෙන් යම්කිසි විදිහකට කඩළු දවා ගන්නට සමත් වෙන අපි කියනවා තනතිර තුල බෝලේ ස්කිඩ් වෙනවා කියලා. Am I correct?
ඔව්.
ඒ තත්වය තමයි අපි අපේ දඟපන්දු යවන්නන් දෙන්නකින් දැක්කේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම කඩළු ලබා ගැනීමේදී රමේෂ් ප්‍රවීන් ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි ලසිත් ඇඹුල්දෙනිය කඩළු 5ක් තමයි ගත්තා. මේ ක්‍රීඩකීන් තරමක් දුරට අර නව පන්දුවෙන් එල්ල කරන්න පුළුවන් පීඩනය වැඩි කරපු ආකාරයක් අපි දැක්කා. ඒ හරහා කරියන් සඳහන් කළා වගේ කොදෙව් ක්‍රීඩකීන් මේ දඟපන්දු බලෑනියට අහු වුණාද දවසේදී යම්කිසි විදිහකට වුන් කඩුල්ල ආරක්ෂා කරගත්තත් ජයග්‍රහණයට යන්නට හැකි මට්ටමකට ආරක්ෂා කරගන්නට හැකියාවක් ලැබුණේ නැහැ. වර්ෂාවේ ආශිර්වාදයත් වාසනාව පැත්තෙන් තිබුණේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාව පැත්තේ. ඉතින් මේ සියල්ලක්ම ගත්තාම අද දවසේ අපි හිතන්නේ සමස්ත ඇකරේට තරඟාවලියේ පළමු තරඟයේ සියලුම වාසනාව ජයග්‍රහණයට අවශ්‍ය කරන සියලුම சாதක අපේ පැත්තේ තිබුණා.
தமிழ் நிகழ்களுக்கு நாங்கள் தெரிவிக்க வேண்டும். இப்பொழுது கைரன் தெரிவித்த மாதிரி நிக்ருமா போனா மற்றும் ஜாஷுவா டி சில்வா டிஃபரெண்ட் லெவலில் பேட் பண்ணாங்க. இப்போ நாங்கள் பார்த்துன்னு சொன்னால் கைரன் சொன்னது என்னன்னு சொன்னால் வென் த லெஃப்ட் ஆர்ம் ஸ்பின்னர்ஸ் மற்றும் ரைட் ஆர்ம் ஸ்பின்னர்ஸ் போல் பண்ணக்குள்ள பிச்சில் வந்து ரஃப் கிரியேட் ஆகும்னு சொல்லி 2 பக்கத்தில் இருந்தோம். பட் அவங்க என்ன டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக செஞ்சாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் டியூரிங் த மார்னிங் செஷன், இந்த மார்னிங் செஷனில் என்ன டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக செஞ்சாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் வென் த பால் வந்து டேர்ன் ஆகி வரக்குள்ள பால் வந்து டிரெக்டாக விக்கெட்டுக்கு வரக்குள்ள அவங்க வந்து பின்னுக்கு போயிட்டு பேட் பண்ணாங்க டு நிகேட் த ஸ்பின். அந்த மாதிரி லெஃப்ட் ஆர்ம் ஸ்பின்னர்ஸ் வந்து அந்த பக்கம் போல் பண்ணக்குள்ள அவங்க ஓவர் விக்கெட் போல் பண்ணக்குள்ள போல் வந்து அந்த பக்கம் பிச் ஆனிச்சுன்னா இட் வில் கோ கிராஸ் ஆகி பேட்டுக்கு போகும். அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய டாக்டிக்ஸை வந்து நிக்ருமா போனா மற்றும் ஜாஷுவா டி சில்வா கையாண்ட காரணத்தினால தான் அவங்களுக்கு அந்த ஸ்பின்னர்ஸ் நிகேட் பண்ணி அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செஷனை 2 பேருக்கும் 6 சதங்கள் அடிக்க முடிஞ்சது. And I had another question also now, the different in terms of how the other batters played now. Start of the play today now, West Indies for 52 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. And when we were discussing yesterday, we were thinking 52 for 6 and then 25 overs would be enough. Sri Lankan, in particularly, Dusmantha Chamira and Suranga Lakmal were in the squad, Vindana. They were the fast bowlers, but when we look at the contribution of them, Suranga Lakmal took an important wicket of Rakeem Cornwall in the first innings. Apart from that, the catch that Dushmantha Chamira took, apart from that, no contribution. Did Sri Lanka miss the chance of pulling in another spinner to the lineup?
You can't necessarily look at it that way because seamers always play a role in a test match. The ball could start reverse swinging, it could do so many, it could be keeping low, and you want your seamers in your squad to exploit any conditions that might be favorable to them. Also, you can't have batters just batting 3, 4, 5, 6 different spin bowlers within a test match, because there's going to become a point where the spin bowlers won't be a threat to the batters in terms of getting them out, and it just become easy play. So even if it's just for them to come on and bowl a 2, 3, 4, 5 over spell, that changes up the rhythm of the batsman, where he has to start batting seam, different footwork, pushing him back, and then the spinner can come on again. Having to bring him forward now, the batter might still be hanging back, and that might cause a wicket and batter getting trapped over double in front. So it's just different tactical awareness from Sri Lanka in knowing that, okay, they may not be contributing in terms of adding wickets to the team's tally, but the threat that they add in terms of pushing a batter back or making his footwork indecisive is going to be a bonus for the team.
This is all in the mindset, isn't it?
I mean, it's something that every international team does. The West Indies also played two seamers and Kyle Mayers as a third seam option as well. So I mean, you're not going to go into any international match without a seamer. I think the only team that's ever done that is Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken, and that was on a very, very bad pitch in Bangladesh. But more often than not, you're going to have 1-2 seam bowlers within a playing 11.
අපිට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න පුළුවන් දුස්මන්ත ශමීර සහ සුරංග ලක්මාල් දෙවනි තරගයටත් සහභාගී වෙයි කියලා.
ඔව් මම හිතන්නේ මාටින් තරගයේ අනතුරුව පැවතිච්ච මාධ්‍යහමුවේදී ඔය ප්‍රශ්න අහනවා දිමුත් කරුණාරත්න ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රිකට් නායකයාගෙන්. ඔහුගේ අදහස බවට පත් වෙන්නේ එක් වේග පන්දු යවන්නේගෙන් තරගය සඳහා එක්වන්නට. එහෙම වුණොත් පිටිකරුවෙක් ආදේශ කරනවාද තුන්නිරියව් ක්‍රීඩකයෙක් ආදේශ කරනවාද කියන එක පිළිබඳව තමයි දිමුත් ප්‍රශ්නාර්ථය ගේන්නේ. කොහොම නමුත් අපි ඊළඟ තරගයේදීත් වැඩි වශයෙන්ම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නට පුළුවන් දඟපන්දු යවන්නට උචිත යෝග්‍ය තන තීරුවක්. එහෙම වුණොත් දිමුත් කරුණාරත්න අද දිනේදී සඳහන් කළේ එක වේග පන්දු යවන්නෙක්ගෙන් බොහෝ විට දෙවන තරගයට යයි. නමුත් ඔහුට රීප්ලේස්මන්ට් එක එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔහු වෙනුවෙන් යොදා ගන්නා ක්‍රීඩකයා තවත් දඟපන්දු යවන්නෙක්ද නොයසනම් තුන්නිරියව් ක්‍රීඩකෙක් දැන පිළිබඳව තරගයට පෙර තීරණය කරන බව මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ. බොහෝ විට දුෂ්මන්ත චමීරටගේ අවස්ථාවක් අහිමි වෙන්නට ඉඩ තිබෙන ඉඩ ප්‍රස්තාව වැඩි. එහෙම වුණොත් බොහෝ දුරට ශ්‍රී ලංකාව තව දඟපන්දු යවන්නෙක් හෝ තුන්නිරියව් ක්‍රීඩකෙක් Tamanගේ සංචිතයට එක් කරගනි.
விந்தன் சொன்னாருன்னு சொன்னா திமுத் கருணாரத்ன டியூரிங் த போஸ்ட் மேட்ச் பிரசன்டேஷன்ல என்ன சொன்னாருன்னு சொன்னா ரெண்டு ஃபாஸ்ட் பவுலர்ஸ் உண்மைக்குமே இந்த பிச்சில் தேவையில்லைன்னு சொல்லி சுராங்க லக்மால் மற்றும் ஜுஸ்மந்த் ஷமீர் ரெண்டு பேரும் ஃபாஸ்ட் பவுலர்ஸ் பங்கேற்றாங்க இந்த பர்டிகுலர் மேட்ச்சில். பட் திமுத் கருணாரத்னோட கருத்து என்னன்னு சொன்னால் ரெண்டு ஃபாஸ்ட் பவுலர்ஸ் தேவையில்லை இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பிச்சில். அவங்க வந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் செகண்ட் மேட்ச் 29th of December ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண இருக்குது. அந்த மேட்ச்சில் வந்து டெஃபினெட்லி தான் அவங்க என்ன எதிர்பார்க்குறாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் சுராங்க லக்மால் பங்கேற்பார் அந்த போட்டியில். அவருக்கு துஷ்மந்த ஷமீருக்கு பதிலாக ஒரு ஆல்ரவுண்டர் பங்கேற்க வாய்ப்பு இருக்குன்னு சொல்லி திமுத் கருணாரத்ன தெரிவிச்சிருக்காரு போஸ்ட் மேட்ச் பிரசன்டேஷனில். Joshua Silva showed some good resistance. I think this is the first time that he towards Sri Lanka, isn't it, Kyron? I just want to show you the footage of how good he was during the crease.
Yeah, Joshua De Silva, he's obviously very new to international cricket still. This is his first tour of Sri Lanka, but he made his debut in Bangladesh. And Joshua De Silva is from Trinidad. Trinidad is a region in the Caribbean that is notorious for growing up and batting lots of spin bowling. We all know the great Brian Lara is from Trinidad, and we all know the exploits that he had in this country against the likes of Muntaha Muralidharan, who's obviously one of the best spinners to have ever played the game. Joshua De Silva is a very patient batter. He's a very methodical. He likes to spend lots of time at the crease. As we saw in the first innings, batted 94 balls, only got 15, but he was able to keep his wicket. And just like Dimuth, someone that spent a lot of the time at the crease in the first innings, he was able to capitalize and earn the rewards in the second innings. So well played to Joshua De Silva.
අපිට බ්‍රයන් ලාරා ගැන මතක් කිරීමක් කරන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. වින්දන 2006දී අතර මේ තරඟවලදී තිබ්බේ. මේ දක්වා විදේශික පිටිකරුවෙක් ඇවිල්ලා රැස් කර වැඩිම ලකුණු සංඛ්‍යාව බ්‍රයන් ලාරා ඒ කාලේ රැස් කරේ මුත්තයා මුරලිදරන් චමින්ද වාසිතිය ඒ අටැක් එකේ. හැබැයි දැනුත් ඇවිල්ලා අපි ඔක්කොම හිතන් ඉන්නේ බ්‍රයන් ලාරා වගේ කවුරුත් ඇවිල්ලා ලංකාවේ සෙල්ලම් කරලා නැහැ කියලා.
ඔව් ඩෙෆිනිට්ලි මම හිතන්නේත් එහෙමයි. ඒක ඒ ක්ලාස් එක ගන්න කාටවත් බෑ. මොකද ඔය තරඟ පිළිබඳව වැඩි වශයෙන් මීට පෙර ජාත්‍යන්තර විචාරකයෝ වගේ මේ තරඟ බලාගෙන ඉඳපු සමහර පුහුණුකරුවොත් සඳහන් කරන ආකාරයට අර ඔට්ටපාලු බෝලකින් බෝල් කරත් ලාරා සෙල්ලම් කරනවා. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි ශිවනරින් චන්ද්‍රපෝල්වත් අමතක කරන්නට අමාරුයි. ඔහුත් ඉතාමත්ම හොඳින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා දඟ පන්දු යවන්නන්ට වේග පන්දු යවන්නන්ට පන්දුවට පහර දීපු පිතිකරුවෙක් මම හිතන්නේ ඒ අතර ලෝකයේ පිතිකරුවන් ගත්තාම බ්‍රයන් චාල්ස් ලාරා කියන්නේ විශිෂ්ටෙක් අවිවාදයෙන්ම ඒක අපි කියන්නට ඕනේ ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා රමේෂ් කලුවිතාරණ කඩුල්ල පිටුපස්සේ ඉන්න මොහොතක ඔහු ඉතාමත්ම හොඳින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රබලතම ලෝකයේ ප්‍රබලතම දඟපන්දු යවන්නා බවට පත්වෙච්ච මුත්තයා මුරලිදරන් වැනි ක්‍රීඩකින් ක්‍රීඩා කරන කාලෙක පවා ඉතාමත්ම හොඳින් ලකුණු අතර හිටියා.
මට මතකයි ඒ කාලේ චමින්ද වාස් තමයි විකට් අතරම ලබා ගත්තේ. During that particular series that Brian Lara played in the year of 2000, we saw he was taking Muthaiya Muralidharan to the cleaners. He scored about 600 odd runs, double hundreds. Rest of the batting lineup in the West Indies cricket team crumbled, and Sri Lanka went on to win that particular series 3-0. And we were discussing about that particular, that's one of the unforgettable memory for all of the cricket fans, not only from the Caribbean, even in Sri Lanka. Now looking at the state of play now, Sri Lanka have shown the dominance over West Indies. They've been doing it since 1993 in Sri Lanka. What are your thought process in terms of how the game, how the players of West Indies batters, particularly the batters, should be approaching this game differently in the future, the second match? What are your thoughts on that?
I think for the second match, the West Indies batters will go into it playing for the straighter ball. They've seen what's happened throughout this entire first test match, even when the Sri Lankans batted. No one really got out to balls that spun past sharply. One or two occasions, yes, but for the majority of the time, guys got out to straight balls. So the West Indies batters will go into the second match thinking, if we play for the straight balls and we get beaten, that's fine. We'll live with that. But you can't afford to go into the match thinking we're going to play for turn again and it keeps straight and the same mistakes happen over and over again.
What do you think about the combination that West Indies should be looking at in the second test match? Do they have to make any changes from this lineup?
I'm not sure that the West Indies will make any changes. If they do make any changes, it will probably be left arm spinner Veerasammy Parmal coming in for a bit more variety, because Sri Lanka's batting lineup is stacked with right-handers. Who he would potentially replace, that's up for debate, whether it's one of the seam bowling options or whether it's one of the mid-order batters. I would think that it might be one of the batters, because you don't want to over-depend on having an extended batting lineup and every batter going in thinking that there's a next batter to come. Then the batters will be forced to get the job done, and the bowlers can then go to work in trying to get 20 wickets, because you cannot win a test match unless you get 20 wickets, and the West Indies have never won a test match in Sri Lanka. So the first priority should be, let's try and figure out a way that we can get 20 wickets, and then let's see if we can get enough runs on the board to win the game.
Now, Jermaine Blackwood is not an opening batsman, but he opened because Jeremy Salzano was out of the match because of that blow that he took on his head when Dimuth Karunaratne hit that ball. Who do you think should replace him?
Well, I'm not sure that they're going to make any further changes to the squad, because they have one batsman on the bench as a reserve, and that was Shea Hope, and he came in as a concussion substitution for Jeremy Salazano. If they're going to bring in Kemar Roach as a batsman, then I think the West Indies are going to be in lots of trouble. Kemar Roach is a quality player. I thought that he should have played this match anyway because of his bowling and his skill. Kemar Roach is a very high-skilled bowler, and if you look at his numbers, he's already in the top 10 wicket takers for the West Indies. He's going to go down as one of the all-time great West Indian cricketers, and thus I think that someone that gets to that level obviously is able to perform in any condition around the world. So you want to utilize that experience and that skill set against a very comfortable Sri Lankan team at home and try and have your best wicket takers available to you.
අපි දිමුත් කරුණාරත්නට ඇත්තටම කතා කරා තරඟය ආරම්භ කරන විටදී මාධ්‍යාමුකදී චරිත් අසලංක සෙල්ලම් කරනවාද කියලා ඇත්තටම වින්දන. මොකද ගොඩාක් ප්‍රේක්ෂකයෝ බලන් ඉන්නවා චරිත් අසලංක කවදාද ටෙස්ට් මැච් එකක් ක්‍රීඩා කරන්නේ කියලා. ඔයා කිව්වා ඇත්තටම ඕල් රවුන්ඩර් කෙනෙක් කියලා රිප්ලේස් කරායි කියලා දුෂ්මන්ත ශමීරව. අපිට ගෙන්න ගන්න බැරිද චරිත් අසලංකව පොඩ්ඩක්?
මම හිතන්නේ ඔය ප්‍රශ්නාර්ථය මතුවෙන්නේ චරිත් අසලංක ටෙස්ට් කොඩ් එකට එකතු වීමත් එක්ක සහ චරිත් අසලංකගේ මුහුණුපතේ හෝ ඉන්ස්ටාග්‍රෑම් ගිණුමේ කිසියම් පින්තූරයක් පළ වෙනවා. ඒ පින්තූරය වෙනුවෙන් ඔහු යොදලා තියෙන කැප්ෂන් එක මේ මාතෘකාවට ප්‍රධානතම කාරණාවක් බවට පත් වෙනවා. මම දැක්කා සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ගොඩක් මේ පිළිබඳව කතා කරලා තිනවා. බොහෝ විට මාටින් ඔය ඔබගේ ප්‍රශ්නයට කෙටිම උත්තරයක් දෙනවා නම් දෙවන ටෙස්ට් ක්‍රිකට් තරඟයේදී ඔය ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරයක් හම්බ වෙයි.
I was just wanted to know about what do you think about Charita Salanka. He has been a phenomenal talent for Sri Lankans, and all of us are looking forward to him scoring 10,000 runs just like Mahela or Kumar Sangakkara did for Sri Lanka.
No, he's definitely an exceptional talent. The way he's come onto the scene, one days and T20 international cricket, he's been phenomenal. What Sri Lanka should not do is rush him onto the test stage when you've got a settled batting lineup, you've got experienced players, you've got young players that have come in the likes of the opening batter, Pathum Nissanka, and he's done really well. And you've got Lahiru Thirumanne, who missed this test series but will obviously be back. So definitely he should be around the team. Continue to mold him, continue to let him to get experience in the nets, facing these guys, being amongst these batters, absorbing the information, and his time will come and he will perform for Sri Lanka, as we've seen in the limited overs versions. So just continue to give him that time to grow and to develop.
Extremely good headache to have from the selector's perspective, having so many good batters in the lineup that they have to pick. Can we see Kyron Powell opening the batting for West Indies in the second test match?
Well, that would be very interesting. My phone hasn't rung yet, so let's see. We'll keep it on loud and see if we get any special calls in the next few days.
What type of an impact did this particular loss will have on the West Indies cricket team leading up to the second test match?
I thought that it could have been a lot more devastating if Sri Lanka had gotten the West Indies out yesterday. But the fact that the two batters in Nkrumah Bonner and Joshua De Silva were able to put up such resistance, that would show the dressing room it can be done. And I think that if you look at the West Indies' first innings in the field as well, Dimuth Karunaratne got dropped on 40. And you know that you can't afford to drop someone of Dimuth's caliber because he will cash in when he gets a start. So the West Indies will pinpoint certain areas and say, okay, yes, we lost badly, but if we take away these points and we continue to improve over the next 3 days and we go into the next match with a fresh state of mind, obviously they may make a few changes, you never know. The game starts from zero on both sides again, and the West Indies will be thinking that, hey, if we take our chances, we're into the show.
Quick answer, will you see that Sri Lanka won by 187 runs? Is it going to be the same case in the second test match as well?
Definitely won't be the same case. I can guarantee Sri Lanka that the West Indies will put up a better fight.
වින්දන වුණාද කියන්නේ? ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම ජයගනීද?
බොහෝ දුරට මම හිතන්නේ කොදෙවන්ට තියෙන පීඩනයත් එක්ක මේ වගේ තනතේරුවක් තුළ මේ වර්තමානයේ කොදෙව් කණ්ඩායමේ දක්ෂතාවයත් එක්ක බැලුවොත් බොහෝ දුරට ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම ඊළඟ තරගය ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න තියෙන percentage එක වැඩි.
இரண்டாவது போட்டி இலங்கை மற்றும் மேற்கிந்திய தீவுகளுக்கு அணியில் 29ஆம் தேதி நவம்பர் 29ஆம் தேதி இடம்பெற உள்ளது காலி சர்வதேச மைதானத்தில். Final remarks on what you have seen in both Sri Lanka and West Indies performance in this particular match.
No, it's definitely not. It's not been a batter-friendly match. If you take away the performance of Dimuth Karunaratne, who's been obviously the head and shoulders above every other batter in the match, then the playing field is very level. So the West Indies will be thinking, let's get Dimuth out and let's get our batters to spend a bit more time. Sri Lanka will be thinking, let's get our batters to spend a bit more time as well, and let's get our bowlers a lot more runs to play with. So it's still, let's say, 70-30 at the moment, obviously in favour of Sri Lanka. Galle has been a fortress for Sri Lanka for years, so they'll continue to take that going forward into the second match, having won the first match, and look to win the series and gather some more points for the World Test Championship.
Second match of the two-match test series between Sri Lanka and West Indies will commence on the 29th of November at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. We will come to your house on the same day, and until then, it's goodbye from all of us here on TV1 and Newsfirst.